Hello and welcome to An Amazing Podcast. This is D and Modi, and we are talking about Jujutsu Kaisen, episode 9, right?
Yep, episode 9, Small Fry and Reverse Redistribution, or Retribution.
So, what did you think? Definitely feels like we're in a full-on new arc right now.
Yeah, it does. And I feel like now we're starting to get like a little bit more of a sense of what the show might be like. Because you know what I just realized? Like, so far, there hasn't been any actual like schooling, like what you would think about when it comes to school.
Yeah.
It's just like it kind of just feels like it's one, like Jujutsu Tech is like one really long internship. So I'm starting like we're not very far obviously, but I'm guessing that maybe this is kind of how the series is going to be, where it's like a bunch of like kind of like a detective kind of thing, where it's like a bunch of cases of curses and them going to investigate it and like, exercising the curses. I'm sure it's gonna like it all builds into a bigger plot. But yeah, anyway, I liked it. I liked the episode.
Me too. So, like, while the last episode felt more transitionary, this definitely feels like we're jumping straight into the action. And so we got two new characters. We got Nanami and the humanoid curse, whose name I can't remember. How'd you feel about them? Or rather, kid with the really long bangs. God, I can't remember names right now.
I don't remember his name, but yeah, so the kid, I like the kid. I think he's just I think like the most interesting part about him was his very first line when he was like, I wouldn't kill anyone I hate, or I would hesitate, but if I would automatically kill anyone who hates me. That's a pretty tough line. I like that, but I also don't think that there's much substance behind him aside from that. Like, it's just he just he kind of feels like a plot device as a character.
Yeah. Sort of like
maybe
kind of like a bucket for exposition, kind of.
Yeah, exactly. So that first line was cool, but after that, he didn't really like. I'm not that impressed by him. Although he seems like he probably has like an interesting backstory with like the bullying and like I guess someone putting out cigarette butts on his head. So yeah, he seems like he might have an interesting backstory. So yeah, I'm like on him so far. He's not bad. He's not great either. Nanami. I like
MVP
Nanami.
The episode.
Yes, I agree. He's funny. I mean, it's funny because he's not funny, but that's what makes him funny. Like he's funny because everyone else is like kind of crazy. Like what's his name? Gojo's crazy. Yeah, and Yuji's kind of crazy. Everyone's kind of like goofy, and he's just like, but he's like overly serious. So I guess that's kind of what makes it. Yeah, I like his personality a lot. And I like his fighting style too.
I loved his like whole like introductory moment where he's just like, yeah, I tried becoming a jujutsu sorcerer, then I realized it was shit. Then I tried getting a job, realized that was shit. I'm just like, my man, this guy knows how things work.
So relatable.
I know, right? I'm crying.
Yeah. Yeah, no. I like him a lot, and I hope I'm sure we're gonna see a lot more of him in the series, because I've seen so much like, I've seen like little bits and pieces of the manga, and I see him show up a lot. So yeah, he's a cool character. He's also I think a good counterbalance to Gojo, because Gojo is like, pretty wild, and he's like very serious.
Oh, totally.
I like his character design too. It's just kind of like a suit, but like, do you think there's a reason he wears glasses? Like, I remember at some point in the episode, Yuji said, like, maybe it's like, he was like, oh, why are all these like higher level people wearing eyewear? Is there like a reason for that? Do you think that means nothing, or do you think there's actually a reason behind it?
I think there is a definite reason behind it because they wouldn't have taken the time to point it out. Like, if it was just like a part of his character design, they wouldn't have had
Mm-hmm.
that scene. It would just been like, oh, hey, it would have been more jokey. Like, they would have called him like Four Eyes or something, but the fact that they draw attention to him wearing glasses like Gojo, I think is a pretty solid fact that, like, yeah, there's something about that.
Yeah, I kind of suspect that too. Do you have any thoughts on what the reason could be? Because I have none. Like I cannot even understand what
I
possible reason.
I am going to go with he's going to be like one of those characters who's like not the best, but he's pretty dang close, and they're going to use him having an eye ability to achieve that kind of status quo. So you're gonna have a moment where it's like, yeah, Gojo isn't the only one who has fancy eyes, and then he's gonna do some like crazy Sharingan BS.
But my thing about that is Gojo didn't have anything special about his eyes, from what I could tell. Like he just took off his what is it called, blindfold, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't. It didn't seem like his eyes actually did anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't feel like whatever it is. That's why I'm having such a hard time like speculating on what it could be, because whatever it is, it doesn't seem like it's something that's like immediately obvious. Like as soon as they take off their eyewear, they get some sort of power up.
I feel
It's like correlation but not causation.
I feel like him like drawing. I think he might do like he might pull from Naruto again, where Gojo is like the Sharingan and like Nanami will be like the Uchiha kind of thing, where they're like the two main characters who actually wear like glasses that hide their like actual eyes,
But
and
then
they both have like drastically conflicting or opposite personalities.
But then why would Gojo take off his blindfold, but nothing happens as a result of that? Like we don't see any change in his eyes or anything like that.
Well, when he did like, in the previous episode, as soon as he took the blindfold off, that's when all the crazy Event Horizon stuff started going off.
Yeah, yeah, but like I said, correlation. But I don't see like just because he took the blindfold off and he did that, I don't see. I wouldn't necessarily think it's because he exposed his eyes that he could do it.
No, let me
To
say
me,
this.
I guess to me, my thing is, I just feel like because I can't see anything actually happening to his eyes, like I guess I'm expecting like a Sharingan or something, but like
No,
because I can't
the
see anything happening to his eyes, I have a hard time understanding what it is that his eyes are doing for him.
so the reason I say that his eyes are directly linked is because I'm not thinking about it based on logic of the show. I'm thinking about it from logic of being of like the writer. And if his eyes weren't directly linked or had were just completely unrelated to that huge over the top event, they wouldn't have linked it to him like taking off his blindfold. He would have just had he would have just been walking around with like sunglasses or average like everyday eyewear, and they wouldn't have just like had him put it back on as soon as he took it off, or as soon as all that stuff sort of ended.
Mm-hmm. And the more I think about it, the more I think there definitely does have to be something with the eye, because even in this episode, when Yuji had like his flashback to Gojo kind of like explaining his attack, he was wearing like those glasses, those shades, right? Even though he was indoors and all that. So I feel like maybe it has something to do with light or something, because it seems like what's his name? Nanami, even when he's wearing his goggles, there's still some parts where you can actually see his eyes through the goggles. So yeah. I guess it doesn't really have to do with like the eyes have to be like completely blinded, but maybe it has something to do with light, something like that.
I tell you though, the moment when those cool flames started shooting up from like Yuji's hand, and they explained like what his power is, like that whole double impact thing, that brought a tear to my eyes. Because you have no idea
So
how long I've been complaining about how, like, the power system or, like, the whole, like, sword magic in Demon Slayer makes no sense and how it was just completely unexplained. The fact that they have an equally cool effect and they take the time to explain where it's coming from was just so great. So great.
yeah, I kind of still didn't conceptually the power makes sense, but I couldn't visualize it very well. Like even though they showed it, because it, they're saying that when he makes a punch, the first part of the punch is his own actual raw power, and then since there's like a lag time after that, his cursed energy goes in and completes the punch. But when they were actually showing it on screen, his fist was enveloped in the cursed energy. So I don't understand how his cursed energy wouldn't make contact first. So I can't really understand like the way it's supposed to look, but I understand what it is, and I really like that too. Like I just like the idea of like a one punch being a double punch. That's cool.
It honestly like reminds me a lot of the main character from Toriko's like main signature move, where it's like he punches you and then you get that like second impact, and like the stronger or like with more versions or more leveled up versions of the punch throughout the series, you get more like impact. So you would have something where he would punch you, and as soon as you get knocked back, the main enemy just starts convulsing like he's getting like aura-aura'd.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's cool.
But I will say that I do agree with what you said about how the whole like visualization of this attack. I feel what would have been cooler is if he just like doesn't like there's no build up, there's no like preliminary effect. It's just like, yeah, I'm gonna use my curse power. Runs up and just does a normal punch, and it's like is that it? There was no curse energy, and then boom, you have that whole delayed casualty of the enemy just convulsing and exploding from the curse energy.
Yeah, I agree. But I will say, I do like the way, I'm glad that they, in a way, I'm glad they didn't do that, because I really like the way the cursed energy looks on his fists. Like, I don't know what kind of like brush or painting they used to make it look like that, but I really like the way it looked. And
oh yeah.
What did you think about Nanami's fighting style and like his cursed energy and all that?
I liked it because it was a very like unique and very like easily visualized kind of ability, and I do think it plays into his like very precise, very clean cut personality. What did you think about the So, I love the twist. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I love the whole twist with the curses they were fighting, because when I was like first watching this, I was like, are they just assaulting these demons? Like they were just like chilling out, minding their own business. Like, what if these were just demons who were just going to the grocery store trying to pick stuff up, and then all of a sudden like, oh wow, you see like this wild, like this monster who is literally built to kill you, looming around. Was that self-defense?
Yeah, I didn't. Wait, are you saying was
No, I was saying like I was just picturing like the curses they were fighting, like just like not being malicious and just like fighting in self-defense. Oh, like they were just like on their way to the store, and then all of a sudden they just see these guys and they just start attacking them.
That's kind of true, because he was just like crawling around looking for his bento, and then whoops, you crawled into the wrong building. Now you're fighting against two sorcerers.
Yeah, shouldn't have aggroed, bruh.
But I wanted to say I also really liked Nanami's fighting style. And it's actually my favorite power so far in the series, because I really like powers like that like are very specific. It's part of why I like My Hero Academia and like Hunter x Hunter so much. I like JoJo's very specific powers. Yeah, exactly, and JoJo too. Like that have like drawbacks or like conditions, and especially like I really like the idea that like it doesn't actually matter how strong he is, like as long as he has that specific condition met where he can like where he attacks the monster at like 3/7 of a distance or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
then it's like pretty much a fatal hit.
Right.
I like that a lot. And I also like the condition that like if he reveals his hand, it makes the technique stronger. Like if the monster knows, you know, what kind of attack it is, it makes the technique stronger. It's like a perfect balance of like, okay, if you want to make this stronger, then you're gonna have to, you know, sacrifice even more. And
Yep.
love that power. I want to see more of that. I don't know if we will, just because it seems like powers are really kind of related to the kind of character, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I would like to see more powers like that.
Although I will say, like, my biggest issue with Jujutsu Kaisen, and this is like, I'm gonna call this a non-issue because I've never been a fan of like worlds where all the superpowers are just based around combat. Like, you never see you see very few animes like My Hero being a slight exception where like, man, if you had this power in like real life, it could be super fun. Like, you don't have that in JoJo's. You don't have that in Jujutsu Kaisen. Although Jujutsu Kaisen has a strong, like, easily makes up for that because you have it in the context of like, yeah, these powers are built for fighting. Like, these powers are made for combat, so of course they're not fun to have in like real life though, or like in everyday casual situations.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. I feel like with Jujutsu Kaisen, it works. It makes sense because within the context of the series, you have like the only reason you would ever even want to use your cursed energy is to fend off cursed spirits. So you wouldn't really have any other use for it. Although maybe people can turn their cursed energy into like interesting stuff, possibly. But yeah, I agree with you there.
Yep.
Yeah, so Mahito, I'm kind of confused about his power a little bit. So it seems like, you know, he turned those kids in the movie theater into, I mean, he kind of like, he turned them into cursed spirits, it seems like, right? Like they're still human, but them. Yeah, he mutated. There we go. So I guess that's his power, but like, and I actually understand how that power how he can have that power because he explains that he appeared as a curse because as like from people's hatred of each other, of humans. So it makes sense that he could have a power that turns people into like cursed spirits pretty much.
Yeah.
But what do you think? Well, it seems like you're going to say something, so go ahead.
No, I was going to say like Mahito, completely justified. Like, I am, like, you have no idea how much I hate it when, like, people are just talking loud and being obnoxious in movie theaters. Like, thank you, man. Thank you. Mahito's easily best, like, second running for best boy right now.
That's so true. I forgot about that. But, like, honestly, what he did was totally justified. He was not the villain in this episode.
Yes, totally.
But what I was going to ask is... Isn't also, it kind of weird?
So one more real quick thing. I love how when they found out that those cursed like spirits were actually like mutated humans. I love how like he was telling Yuji that like they died from like shock of being turned to mutants. I'm just like, dude, you exploded one of their hearts and you cut off the limbs of the other one. I'm pretty sure that's not the thing they died from.
We literally saw that dude's like head explode. So I don't know what she's talking about.
I just kept picturing him saying something like, Yuji, don't worry, you didn't kill that man, your fist did.
Yeah. But we know that cursed domains are supposed to be, it seems like they're kind of related to the actual cursed power that they have, right? The cursed energy. So I'm kind of confused about why Mahito, his domain was a beach. I think that was like in episode 7 we saw him at the beach. Mm-hmm. But like, it doesn't seem at... Well, yeah, because... Well, yeah, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it wasn't his domain. But like, just from the way that they walked in there and he was sitting there chilling, like reading his book or whatever, I assumed that was his domain. But maybe it's not. Because like, the beach just kind of doesn't... I don't get how that relates to his power, but that'll probably be explained more.
So this is like a small tangent, but I remember when I was watching that and I was hearing stories about like how the kid was like skipping school and all that stuff to like hang out with Mahito. I was thinking like, well, this is how he becomes a failure. This is where his life goes downhill. But then I'm thinking of like that sorcerer from like the previous. So now I'm like, hello?
Yeah.
Now I'm like thinking of that sorcerer from the previous episode, and I'm just like, wait a minute. This guy has a full-on 5-star beach resort in his apartment. This guy's on the right path right here.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like, why is he kind of sitting in a dump right now? Like, what is he doing? So do you have any predictions on how the story is going to unfold from here? Because so now there's a lot of things going on when I think about it. We have Mahito and his group, and they are trying to kidnap Gojo at the end of the day. That's like their end goal.
Yeah.
And then now they've brought this kid along, but I don't know what they could need the kid for. And now we have Nanami tracking Mahito, and we also have the tournament arc coming up. I have a hard time seeing how everything's going to connect. It kind of makes me excited actually to see like how everything comes together.
So, first, again, love the writing for this show, like absolutely, completely. And I think, again, going off the idea that the writer's being very like heavily influenced by Naruto, I think we're gonna like go through this arc. We're gonna have the tournament arc. Everything's gonna be like super quiet. Like we're just gonna like focus on the tournament arc, and then boom, the end of the tournament arc's gonna come up, and then all these things are just gonna come together in one final climax.
But what about? I mean, I feel like this story though, this plot line that we're in right now, has to play out before the tournament arc because, what's his name? Yuji is like just about to meet with the kid. I wish I remembered his name. The kid with the bangs. And it seems like Nanami is probably also about to go up against Mahito.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is gonna play out before the tournament arc, which I didn't think before.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe the tournament arc is just its own separate thing. Because before I was thinking like everything. You remember I even said like they're probably gonna crash the tournament before it ends or something like that. But doesn't seem like that's gonna happen.
Question: do you get Orochimaru vibes from Mahito?
No, until you just said what you said now, and I can kind of see it. I can see it, but like not too much. Like not so much that I would notice,
right?
Unless it was mentioned. Yeah.
Like he had like again. I feel like again it's another Gojo Hunter x Hunter Naruto kind of thing, but another good example of like taking like shows you really enjoy and then using them as a base or like a skeleton to fill up to like support all of the unique stuff you want to go with.
Yeah, true. We also learned in this episode that cursed spirits can come in a lot of forms, like from like nature related things that people fear. I thought that was interesting. I like that a lot because it makes me it opens up the possibilities even more than I thought, because now it's really like settling into my mind that pretty much anything people fear can be the source of a curse. So that like really makes this like a really big world. Really, a lot of different things could happen. So yeah, I like that. And the best part, just realized, yeah, no, go ahead, sorry. Volcano Man from like a couple episodes ago. I forgot his name too, but I guess he's oh yeah, there we go. Jogo, of course, he's the opposite of Gojo. Yeah, Jogo. He was probably born from people's fear of volcanoes.
Yeah, or flames.
I just realized that. Huh?
Yeah. And one thing I do think that makes it even more awesome is like the more widely something is feared, the more stronger the curse is. So like if there's like
Huh.
a curse built around like arachnophobia, then that's a signal that that's a really strong curse because it's such a widespread common fear.
Okay. So, this just brought up a big question in my mind. What do you think Sukuna is born of? Like the fear of what? I wonder
Mm.
what that is. It has to be something that like everyone is scared of, but it's probably not something too obvious. It's probably something that's kind of like metaphorical, I bet, you know?
Fear of death?
Maybe it's fear of death. I like that. I like that. Or what if it's like fear of fear? Nah, that's probably too meta. That's too meta. But I like that. Yeah, fear of death seems like it would be correct. I would actually be surprised if it wasn't that. Now that I think about
Yeah.
it, one day we'll find out. Probably not for a long time, but
I feel like it's not going to be something that's going to be expressly explained. I feel like that was like our first like and only like real introduction to it, and after
mm,
that, it'll just be like it's up to the reader to interpret or the viewer to interpret.
okay, yeah, I can see that happening, but I hope it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
because I think it would make it much more interesting if like it added that element um of like actually I don't know. I feel like if you lean into that as a writer, it would probably give you a lot more opportunities to have like good character moments, you know?
Yes.
If you're not only fighting against this cursed spirit, but you're fighting against like what he represents, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would be interesting if they did that. Um, yeah, I think that's all I really have to say for this episode. Oh no, there is one. Did you have anything? I have one more thing to say,
Oh
but
no,
did
I'm
you?
good.
Okay, last thing, and I feel like this hasn't been said at all. I hear people hyping up Gojo every single day, week in, week out. Gojo this, Gojo that, Nobara, Yuji, all that. No one shows love to Ijichi. Ijichi's the assistant. This guy is so underrated, okay? Like he
Yes.
gets he gets abused, bullied, he has to do everyone's errands, but he still sticks around and he gets the job done and he makes the whole operation function. So shouts out to Ijichi, okay? I respect you, I notice you, okay?
Dang
Keep it up.
right. Dang right.
Yeah. Okay, so how would you rate the episode?
I want to give it a solid 8.
Okay, I would give it the same. Solid 8.
Awesome.
So yeah, so that's been our review of episode 9 of Jujutsu Kaisen. Thank you for watching and come back next week for episode 10.
See you then. Stay safe and have a good one. Bye.